Hey guys, welcome to NZ Pocket Guide, your ultimate travel guide to New Zealand. Today I'm joined by the amazing Tara from Kiwi Americans. She does a lot of comparing the US and New Zealand on her channel, and last week we did a video about the things that shocked us about New Zealand. So because we want to redeem ourselves, we're going to talk about our great surprises about New Zealand. So without further ado, what is the first thing that surprised you greatly when arriving in New Zealand?
Oh, okay. First thing that surprised me when I came here, so just so you know, I have a family of 6. We have been here for 6 years, and the number one thing is how easy it is to do certain things that are normally so much harder in the States, so much red tape, so much paperwork. For example, buying a car. One piece of paper, sign your name, transfer the money into their account. What? I literally walked in there and was like, I feel like there's more I should be doing, because in the States you have to sign a million things.
And I guess you really enjoy going to visit the DMZ, so obviously you probably, it's something you guys love doing. It's one of your hobbies,
yes,
right?
The DMV is like America's favorite.
DMV, yes.
Yes, the favorite spot, yeah. So like buying a car, signing your kids up for school, like there's just not as much paperwork. So I know when I talk to people in New Zealand and they're like, oh, there's a lot of paperwork. Mate, you have no idea. You have no idea. Like even just doing our taxes in New Zealand, it's like now they've worked it out where you don't really have to do it unless you have special cases. But like, it takes me, I would say, if you're an American living anywhere in the world, you have to pay taxes. And it is about 40 hours that I spent a year to do taxes.
Fun times.
The paperwork, and I have an accountant.
All right, so my number one great surprise in New Zealand has nothing to do with taxes. It has to do with the landscapes and all the conservation work which is happening in New Zealand. New Zealand is absolutely stunning. It should be no surprise to you guys, but just literally arriving here, even knowing how beautiful is New Zealand, when you start driving, you're like, it's actually gobsmacking.
It takes your breath away.
Exactly. It's genuinely take your breath away. So that's definitely one of the best surprises I've had. And then digging a little deeper, you learn about all the different conservation efforts which are happening around the country, which we absolutely love. And you can get involved as well. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's all over the place. It's really amazing here. They really quite a bit better than the US. The US is way behind.
All right, it's not a US bashing video, so
no,
let's go with number 2.
It's not, but like it's just true. I mean, that's all. I just speak what I know. Flexible and reasonable is a words that I would describe coming to New Zealand. So this is what was very surprising. Like, for example, so when in the States, like, everything moves really fast. I mean, especially, it's different parts of the country, but like, and you have to do a certain way. Like if you're doing a process and like, it's stressful because if you don't do it the right way, that's just like, sorry, you can't get it, and so it adds an enormous amount of stress in life. Like I help a lot of Americans get when they come over here, kind of get integrated in society, and I've talked with them when they get really stressed out or they did something wrong. It's like, oh, okay, because in New Zealand the answer is no worries, we'll help you. If you're late for something, if you bring your kid late to school, if you get stuck in traffic and you call in like, I'm gonna miss the first 15 minutes of my class because I'm in traffic, they're like, oh, no worries, we'll have, it just relieves all of that stress. And so that was really surprising to me when I came here, like, oh, really? Like they're really flexible and reasonable. And so a lot of their rules and the way that they do things actually are very reasonable. And that was actually noticeably different between New Zealand and the US.
Nice.
So, yeah.
My next on the list, my number 2, is the lack of traffic. I mean, the last few cities I lived in before arriving in New Zealand were San Francisco, Vancouver, Hong Kong. I mean, the best example for amazing traffic and,
well, you would have a lot of traffic there.
Ease of commute. Anyway, so in New Zealand, even they do complain about the traffic in Auckland because there is a lot of work and they have no idea how bad it can be. And even in Wellington, some people do complain about the traffic.
Yeah, it's getting worse. More and more people come. Like I've noticed since like
it doesn't
nowhere
compare. Near bad.
It doesn't compare.
So it is getting worse, yes. But it's still like
right.
Nowhere near bad. So I was really surprised.
From here to here in Chicago is always 20 minutes, any time of the day, any day of the week.
So traffic, honestly, is almost non-existent in New Zealand, or at least from my experience. And
comparatively.
And then I would say it's a little bit similar to doing queues. You barely do the queue in New Zealand. You rarely have to queue for things.
No, it's actually really bad because when I go back to the States and we go to things, my kids have no patience.
Yeah.
Or we'll go to places and be like, there's too many people here. Or like, I'm not standing in that line because we're totally spoiled now.
So yeah, that's a fantastic
We're
surprise
totally
when arriving here.
spoiled,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice. Okay, so number 3 for me is, was always surprising. So people actually return things to you. If you leave them somewhere, if you go for a hike and you left your jacket somewhere, it'll be left at the end of the hike and you can go back and get it. Like, that was a whole new idea for me. Like, people will actually return things to you if you left them. You don't have to like stress about it. It's not uncommon at work for people just leave their cell phone out on their desk or their purse or it.
Oh, yeah,
that was always surprising to me.
We literally left behind sometimes some pretty expensive cameras when filming around and everything on hikes, and literally the next group of hikers just picked it up and was like, "Oh, you're gonna be in the next hut anyway." So they come and they arrive at the hut. They did someone lost that. It's like $1,000 saved. Whew.
No, I know. It's surprising, but it's really nice. Again, another thing that takes that stress of life. And
good surprise.
Yeah, it's a good surprise. I love it.
All right, one of my next good surprise is the fact that politics doesn't matter. We don't really argue politics.
Yes,
It's kind of like
so
you believe one thing, I
best.
believe one thing. It's fine. It's not a topic of conversation. Basically, it doesn't define your life. I feel like in other countries, and I'm not pointing any finger whatsoever, it really defines who you are. Like, it's such a major part of your everyday life, and it really is not the case in New Zealand, or at least from my personal experience. I don't know about you, but there is different parties in New Zealand. There is that. I mean, we still have two main parties.
Politics.
There is still politics here.
Yeah.
But it's not as divisive, and it's not part of the everyday conversation. It's actually, I would even say, and again, you tell me if it's different for you.
Yeah.
I would even say that talking politics in New Zealand is kind of an oddity, while my experience overseas talking about politics is pretty much a daily occurrence.
Everything.
So,
yes, it's everything. No, that's
do you have
true.
the
But let me
similar
just say,
experience?
trying to be an American in New Zealand, okay, it's like, they want to talk to you about politics because they don't understand what's happening over there. And so they think that I know like some insight. And I do. I have a perspective that they don't, because people are only looking at it from the outside, right?
Yes.
But, I literally created a shirt that said, I don't want to talk politics to wear at work because during the election, it was so bad. They're like, did you see what happened today? I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a reason why I'm not there. Okay. I don't know, and I don't care. Okay, I can vote. I will vote. That's fine. I'll do my duties. But man, I don't want to talk to you about it. I know, sorry.
Not really sorry, are you?
No, it was fine for a while, but it got to be too much. So it's so nice to not have that political craziness going on.
Yeah, so that was one of my great surprises in New Zealand.
Yes. So, okay, another one for me was, this was really surprising. So, it's easy to get entry-level positions. When you start to get into more professional positions, now I am a professor and I've been teaching communication, marketing, whatever for 20 years. And when I came here, I interviewed for a job that it was perfect for my experience. That was it. And he was even showing me my office. I thought I got it. And then he calls me a couple days later and says, we're going to give it to this other guy. He has more New Zealand experience. So that was really surprising. I'm like, so it's really important that you have New Zealand experience. So when you come here, you may need to work in the field for a while. It can be a little bit hard to get that first job because, they're going to err on the side. And I understand that, people that are in your country, or you want to support people, Kiwis, I guess, and that makes sense. But at the same time, I feel like in a lot of ways, and I've talked to a lot of other people about it, having worldwide experience, having something where you can bring in a new perspective isn't as valued as I was anticipating.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I had an opposite experience, but that's okay. My next one on the list is the fact that, I'm not going to say it's inexistent in New Zealand, right? But I feel like you feel it way less, and it's anything to do with racism and homophobia. I just do feel like it's something, again, less of a topic, and I feel like much more accepted, basically, and less of an issue, less of an everyday issue. And I did find that very refreshing here. That people don't see. There is always going to be those pockets of people which have no respect or anything, but people don't see very much. See people as people, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, they're very accepting of
lifestyle
people, but also I've talked about this a lot across my social media, and certain groups of people, they'll feel like there is a lot more racism. And so, to be sensitive about that, I don't always know because I'm not that race, how they're getting felt, so it definitely exists here. We're not saying that, but it's less. It's not the same.
Yes.
Than some places anyway.
Yep. What's your next one?
Okay, and then my next one is, this is really surprising. So on a lighter note, food. Let's talk about food, okay? Egg yolks are orange, not yellow. That was like, what is this? When I opened the egg. It's so beautiful. I'm telling you, it's so different. Like, I literally go back to States. I can't eat the eggs there now.
Interesting.
They're so, I don't know. They look fake for some reason, like what I would get, like a fake egg, a toy egg. Anyway, size.
Hot take. Plastic eggs in the US.
No, like if you buy organic eggs in the US, they're orange. But otherwise they're, I don't know. And they're white and I don't know. It just feels like I don't want that. I don't know why. But the size of the food, like the produce and the meat, apples are so much smaller, chickens are so much smaller, all different kinds of fruit, and you're like, whoa, look at this. This is like so much smaller because we're not filling them with hormones.
Yeah, no, I mean, this definitely is a difference.
It's surprising.
It is a noticeable difference. I haven't really noticed that too much because in other countries where I lived in, we had similar produce to that, so it was more like a relief more than it's kind of like, oh, that looks like a normal apple.
It looks like a normal apple.
This apple is not going to eat me.
But now with my family, like I have to buy 2 chickens in order to feed them because they're so much smaller. And you're like, oh, is that the way it's supposed to be? And they taste so good. Like the produce here is so good. It's so delicious. So when you buy in season, especially, which I love that and also they eat in season here. Like you can't just so in the winter here, tomatoes are really expensive, and in the winter berries are really expensive, and so you just eat in season, and I just think that's a way healthier way.
And so my last point, my last amazing great surprise that I had when coming in New Zealand is the easy business culture. It's incredibly easy to set up and start a business in New Zealand, and it's quite easy to jump from one business to another, to get business to collaborate together. I feel like just the business culture, and I think it stems from the fact that a lot of people have their own business in New Zealand. I feel like pretty much 1 or 2 people you're gonna meet is gonna be a solopreneur and gonna have their own business and doing this on the side or that on the side or this on the side. But
that's totally been my experience. Now it's very easy to set up an LLC in the US. I found that the ease of setting up a business is about the same, but the support that you get is totally different. So like in the US, like I had a couple small businesses, but very hard to be successful because of all of red tape and restrictions and things, insurances that you had to buy, and here it's amazing. It is very easy to start up and to just run, and you'll get support from the government, and it's great. That's why I have like 3 of them.
There you go. All right, so if you want to check out more about Tara, you can check Kiwi Americans on all your favorite social media. And if you want to say thank you for all our hard work, you can hit like and subscribe at the bottom of this video.
Subscribe.
If you want to check out the sister video to this one, there is a link just right up there, which is going to tell you about the thing that shocked us when arriving in New Zealand. It's a bit more clickbaity, but it's more fun. And if you want to see more about us, we are live every Sunday at 8 a.m. New Zealand time to answer all your questions about traveling in New Zealand. And lastly, you can check out NZDT.com, your ultimate travel guide to New Zealand. It's free and it's a ton of information.
It's really great.
There.
Check it out.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, see ya.